Ladies and gentlemen, I am in Waukegan, Illinois, and I just ate a tuna sandwich. I made myself coffee on my tour bus. Mm. Welcome to Sunday Live. We have such a wacky bus this tour for America. I got to show you a picture of it. I put it up on the Instagram the other day, but I'll show you again here. It's a Euro kind of bus, which I'm not used to being on here. So in other words, it's like a double decker. So it looks like this, and it's got an upstairs, downstairs, which you just don't see these in America. But Beat the Street is a I believe they're based in Germany or Austria maybe. Beat the Street, it says on the side there. They are a European bus company, and they've opened up U.S. operations and decided to do Euro-style buses, which is interesting. You can put 16 people on them, 16 bunks, as opposed to 12 on a standard U.S. bus. And, like a Prevo or whatever. So these are Van Hool buses, and a great big bus. And it's nice. I'm digging it. You're up real high when you're sleeping, though, and you feel the rocking or bumps more, I think, up there than like on a Prevo's. Like you're lower to the ground. You're sleeping like right above the chassis, really. And it tends to be a little smoother ride, I think. But anyway, pluses and minuses. It's all cool. So we're 3 dates. Today's date number 3 into this tour with Classic Rock Show in the U.S. Last night was amazing. We were in Cincinnati last night. How about sorry, I got lettuce stuck in my teeth. That's not attractive on the internet. What was I saying? Oh yeah, 1,100 people in a theater in Cincinnati. Beautiful venue. It was great. I'm gonna forget the name of the venue, but it was awesome. And a new venue there, probably 2,500 seater or something like that, or maybe not, maybe 2,000 or something. But 1,100 people for us. The second show that this band has ever done in the U.S. was awesome, and they were great. It was such a great crowd. They were so into it. They just wanted to rock. It was really cool because we're building this thing here. So it's like that's a good crowd for us here. I felt like so it's good. It's like we're getting somewhere here doing this thing. What are you guys talking about here? Let's see in the chat here. Greetings, Ben Coombs, says E-Bars. Greetings, Ben Coombs. What's up, Ben Coombs? Good to have you all here. We got 145 people online. Good to see you on this Sunday. What did you replace the Bogner Blue with on your board for this tour? I would say, I haven't had a Bogner Blue on my board for a long time. Not that it's not a great pedal, it is. But I've got an Unobtainium from Crazy Tube Circuits, and that's kind of in that position, sort of an amp-like overdrive in front of my clean channel. So the Unobtainium has kind of a dumbly drive side, and then it's got a clonny drive side on the other side. So it's a dual drive. Yeah. Steven says he doesn't think he can sleep on a bus anymore after driving back from a show in Illinois. Our driver periodically fell asleep. That's not cool. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Like you can't like that kind of thing. I don't know. You hand your life over to someone else basically when you're out here, and you just sort of hope for the best. So far so good. Guy seems like a good dude. And, our driver, it's all good. So. Yeah. So what else we got here? Let's see. Which is the better EVH, the Wolfgang in the striped EVH guitar, or the Duncan 78? Well, they're very different. There's kind of the two Eddie Van Halen pickups, I feel like, or maybe 3. But you either go your 78 route, which is like a hot, but not that hot PAF, like a 9K PAF affair, or you go your 14K a little bit later on era pickup, like a variation on either a JB or custom sort of vibe, because I think he gradually moved towards hotter pickups. Or, I like to think he used a super distortion in in the early days a little bit, and then maybe Super Distortion with an A2 magnet that he'd switched out, and that maybe started the fascination with the 14K A2 or A5. And there's where you get your custom or Jeff, or I say Jeff Beck because I believe the JB was. It's funny. I said in that Van Halen guitar video I did recently, the Music Man video, I said Jeff Beck for JB, and I got a lot of, isn't it jazz blues? And I'm like, I think that Seymour just, like, you know, when the EVH pickup came out, it was a custom shop thing, whatever ended up becoming the 78, right? I believe they called it the EVH when it came for the custom shop, that pickup. And they said evenly voiced harmonics, you know, to get out of like any kind of being in trouble for, but JB, I mean, and I think that's the pickup that Jeff had in that Telly, you know? So we always called it a Jeff Beck from the, you know, early 80s onward. So I've literally been using them on and off since the early 80s. I mean, in 82 or so, 83, I had a guitar built, and I've still got that guitar, and it has a double cream JB in it. So really rare because they had to stop making those. But yeah, double cream JB. I've still got that pickup. That pickup's probably worth some dough. Probably worth more than the whole guitar, actually. Oh, Scott says he's going to come to South Bend, so that's the day after tomorrow. We head to South Bend for a gig then, so that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going good, man. We had a lot of fun last night. It was great, really good. Okay, working my way back through the chat here to see who's here, what you guys are talking about. There's L. Scott Music, Lauren, good to see you, and Earl, Leon Todd, and Talk Shop. He would love to do a Sunday Live with you. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, we can do that at some point. Let's see. What else? Oh, it's a good question from Yes Sir. Is a tube squeal typically from preamp or power amp tubes? Generally, it's preamp tubes. High pitched whine, or kind of, you know, that's microphonic preamp tubes, generally speaking. So I would, you know, you can kind of bang them with your finger or tap them with a screwdriver just lightly, and you'll hear them ring if they are microphonic. And that's not uncommon at all. So that would be my guess where I would look first. Yeah. So what else? Okay, so today I was going to do originally, I mentioned, I think a couple weeks ago, I was going to do the giveaway of the Sir PT Signature HSS Standard guitar that with the guitar folks, the folks that had attended the clinic. I had intended to set that up for today, but I just got so busy leaving on tour and stuff, and learned some new songs, and there's just so much to do before I left, dealing with the cat and all kinds of stuff that I had going on, that I didn't get a watch page up for it, and I want to promote it properly. So I've decided to move it till 2 weeks from today. Don't want to do it next week, because next week's Easter Sunday. Sunday Live, maybe not on Easter Sunday. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think if you want me to do one. I'll take a little poll here. Who wants to Sunday Live on Easter Sunday? But I just thought maybe not, because it's Easter Sunday. You know, maybe we should just let the holiday be the holiday. Anyway, so April 7th is the date. I do believe that I'll be doing it. The giveaway for I've got all the names of the winners, and I just simply have to select one and announce it. So I'm going to set up a watch page for that. And I'll send that watch page to Guitar and Sir, so they can promote it a little bit. Got lots of people watching, because it's fun to give away a guitar. Come on, it's a big deal. So, all right, so that's my plan. Scott White there with a super chat. Thank you. First time, long time, have an opportunity to buy a Marshall Major Super Bass. Woo! Have an opportunity to remove tubes, drop power, and can it be converted to super lead? Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't pull output tubes to do the same thing you can do in a super lead. But I mean, that's a pretty cool amp. I don't know that I would. I mean, you can play with values and things as far as the spec, but you've got a pretty cool amp there. It's funny, I saw some of those recently being worked on at Friedman's, because there's a tech that comes in there that works for John Frusciante, and that's, I guess, what he uses is Majors. So he uses a couple of them up there and plays really loud and clean. And you know, I sort of think an amp like that, you could get it maybe just get it cleaned up and stuff like that. And if it's not to your liking, you could probably spin it and then get what you want if you know, but maybe leave it unmolested because it's worth more that way, you know. That's just a couple simple things that you want to do. But yeah, they're loud as hell, you know. It's a real, it'll pummel your eardrums, that's for sure. JJ says, just got my Sir Classic S loaded with a Thorn 2 wired for parallel split. Sounds amazing with the ash body, everything I hoped it would be. That's awesome. Yeah, parallel is really fun with a humbucker. It's a great sound. It's weird. It's like quite bright and stringy, but it never strikes me as too much. Like when you're like, oh, maybe this is the right thing to do here. I generally like pull the tone pot on my guitar and I'll get that parallel sound. I'll go, oh yeah, that sounds really good. Even though it's like bright, you know, it always just kind of pleases me. So it's really cool having a series parallel switch for your humbuckers. Yep. And Stephen makes the great point that every day is a holiday when talking guitar. True. Very much enjoyed your demo, says Eston Roy, of the new Sir amp heads. Technically, I guess I only demoed one, the 68, but I just showed the different features of the new Mark II version of the SL68, and those apply to the SL67 as well. Put out that video yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Something like that. Anyways, I guess it was yesterday. It's done well. And I was really happy with the sound that, you know, I was able to dial up the sound right at the top of the video. Sounds really good to me and stuff. So it shows off the amp nicely, I think. Yeah, it's just my old Marshall cab with black backs in it. And, you know, they're great amps. I've seen a few people say too expensive, like, you know, however much they are or whatever. They're really not. I mean, they're like for, if you look at amps on the market, other competing amps that US made with, you know, nothing else has all the features that it has. It's unique in its feature set with the built-in variac kind of thing. And then the switches and stuff and the dual voltage power transformer and all that good stuff. So, you know, Dave Friedman now has an amp that's similar, you know, with his Plex 50, but it's got some different features. So it's not exactly the same. And, you know, so it's nice having these options and stuff. Ben says you have to pay for quality. Yeah, and I would argue it's not. I mean, you can't get a vintage Marshall for anywhere near. I mean, it'll be double, you know, the price of it. So, and arguably this amp has more tones, more options, great master. You know, I didn't even mention that, the new master. Lots of cool stuff. So, Braxall, any word on when we can attain that Sir Dark Charcoal guitar? I mean, soon, you know, if you've got a dealer, you know, Sir dealer, you could probably just ask them and be like, hey, like, you know, I'm interested in this. Can you just let me know when? And they'll be like, we'll let you know when. And it's not far off. So, hello.
Do you have any toilet paper?
I'm just on the internet. Would you like to?
What? I just ran out of toilet. Oh my God.
Beat it. We're not talking about Hammonds and Leslies. And oh, Henry, come here for a minute. Tell us about your troubles with. He's got a Leslie cabinet that is our keyboard player. Henry's the best musician in the band by far. He's got a Leslie that he brought over from the UK, and what happened as soon as you plugged it in? It was like running slow.
Well, I thought it was running slow. It was running slow, but I think that's because it was in a shipping container for 3 weeks. And
Also, the drum or whatever gets.
Well, I think all the motors all just got like seized up and cold and sad.
See, keyboard players with tube amps,
but
they got it harder.
But then, when it finally started running properly, it was running too fast. Well, I didn't figure out what it was. It just sounded wrong. It sounded like too intense. Like, you know, the fast sound is like nice, and then it was like, whoa, that's too much. And I figured out because it's set for 50 hertz power, and here we have 60 hertz, so the motors are running about 20% too fast.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
So I don't want to break them, so
I'm
going to put it back in the case for a bit.
Yeah, so he's using a ventilator, but it sounds great still. The ventilator sounds really good. In the ventilator's that same. I did a video for that pedal years ago, like 10 years ago, and it's
the vent.
Yeah, the same one that you have. Yeah, I mean, it sounds great on guitar, but there's nothing like having the real Leslie cabinet.
Yeah. Last night sounded fine, but it didn't make me happy like the Leslie did.
Right. Yeah. It's like the way it feels as opposed to, it probably sounds very similar in the PA, but the feeling isn't quite the same.
Yeah,
So,
right. Anyway, so you don't have any toilet paper, right? I'm gonna go.
Beat it. Oh, there you have it. Henry really is the best musician in our band. He's ridiculous. Sings like crazy and plays like, and hears everything. And he did some. Here's how good he is. Johnny Marr recently hired him to do string arrangements for his orchestral gigs that he did in Manchester recently, and now they're going to do some more later, I think. But so he's a string arranger as well. If you want to see him, you can look at the recent Johnny Marr gig at Manchester. I can't remember the O2 or something, I think. But anyway, Henry's on stage with him playing keys and stuff, and he's responsible for the orchestra string arrangements. So he's really good. Did you decide which song you're going to use for your guitar showcase for a classic rock show? You did talk about doing I'm the One. We're not doing it right now, and I have a mixed feelings about that. I feel like I should be doing it, and maybe I'll bring it up to James. Maybe we can pop it in the set, because there's no reason why we couldn't do it. I'd love to do it. I just we've changed the set a little bit for the United States, and losing that song is maybe not the best thing to do. But we've added a couple others, and we're doing some other fun stuff. So it's not like it's not fully fleshed out with great rock songs and lots of guitar solos and stuff like that. It is, So we're not doing that particular Van Halen track at the moment. So anyways, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll add it back in. It's nice to have options, like for shows, just pull out songs as surprises. So if any of you want me to play it at a particular show, if you're going to come to a gig, let me know, and maybe I'll just mention it. And we can pop it in, Did you see Satriani started using the third power amps live? I did, yeah. There's a video of them playing Enter Sandman. Really? That's an interesting choice for those cats. I'd like to hear that amp. I've liked the third power amps I've heard before. So this is why these streams are awesome. Special guest joining. Yes. You just never know who's going to barge their way in here and ask for toilet paper. Okay, what else? Use a Variac. Yeah, but that doesn't change. I know, but that doesn't actually change the. I was thinking that too, and I did suggest it. And I have a Variac here, but I was like, oh, but my Variac's for 120, so that's not going to work. Gosh, we could try it. I mean, we'd have to step down the voltage for it. It's not a bad idea. We could use a step down, which I have here, because it's hard to explain. We're running the entire stage off of 240, except for me. I have got my own, because they brought all their gear over from England. So like the bass amp and the James's old Marshall and everything's 240. So I guess we could take it's been stepped up to 240. I guess we could try taking the power out of the Leslie cab, step it back down to 120, run that into my Variac, and drop the voltage to 110 or 100 and see what happens. Won't hurt it. That's not a bad idea, actually. But I just wonder if the juice is worth the squeeze or not. But yeah. Anyways, brother. Okay, what else we got here? Somebody said I got the classic faces haircut going. Yeah, pretty much. It is what it is. It's still there, so I figure let's have some fun. Let's see. How does the Tone King Royalist Mark III compare to those new Surplexes? It's a bit more of a I think it's got a tube rectifier, so there's a difference. So it's a little more JTM 45 right there. You do have the switchable bright cap, I think. It was a great sounding amp. I tried it. Yeah, there's some similarities, but it's going to be a little less aggressive with that tube rectifier. It's 50. You basically got two channels. I mean, it's a neat amp. I especially like those knobs they use on it. It's pretty cool. Tube rectifier is going to be the biggest difference, though, between that and a solid state one. Advice for a single coil for neck that doesn't have the wing, so it fit where a little 59 once was. Oh, geez, Stephen, I'm not sure. That's a good question. The wing, like you mean the? I don't know. Sorry, I can't picture what a little 59 mounting thing is like. But sometimes you can alter, you can bend the legs on pickups, or I guess it's that single coil, so it doesn't have legs like a humbucker. I really don't know, dude. It's great. You got me stumped there. Not really sure. Now you got me thinking, okay, let's go look at a Duncan little 59. Duncan little 59. So I can see, well, how is that different than any other single coil, though? I'm looking at it. It looks like it's got kind of the round tabs on either end. It would seem to me that it's pretty normal. I don't know. Can't picture it. Not sure what the issue is. Sorry. I need to Kikasui for that, Leslie, to change the line frequency to 50. Yeah, that'd do it. That's that amazing Japanese-made power situation. It's like a conditioner line voltage transformer. Change but they're like $4,000. I kind of want one. Boring question. Trying to up my strap game. You know what I really like these days, man? There's a couple. Fairfield are really nice. Fairfield Guitar Company. And then the other one is, I believe it's called La Manta. And they are from, I'm looking here. I believe they are from, La Manta Accessories. LAMANTA. And they're from Argentina. Really love those. So I've got some recently from both Fairfield Guitar Company and La Manta Accessories. And La Manta, they just have some really cool, there's some with like zippers on them. It's kind of neat. Really interesting designs. I've got a couple that are on my, I think there's kind of a more basic one. I'm just trying to find they do this kind of thing too. They make all kinds of stuff, but they're Argentina. They're very, very, very nice straps. And then Fairfield made me a couple too recently, really good. So it's quite a wide variety here. I'm getting into their IG. There's a snakeskin one that's kind of cool, or sort of snakeskin, or just kind of cracked leather, I guess. Not really snakeskin, is it? Some ones with more like belts, or are those just belts? Those are just belts. They make belts too. Belts. There's a cool one. So go check out their IG, Lamenta Guitar Accessories. All right, give them a little plug. Linger with a big old super chat there. I have an Ibanez. Can you hear Rudy warming up? Maybe you can't hear that. I sure can. Screaming down the hallway. He's been screaming all day. It's like, dude, we don't even have sound check for another 3 hours. I have an Ibanez Art 300 that I love the book and feel of. Sorry, I have an Ibanez Art 300 that I love the look and feel of, but I hate the active pickups. Partly because I have it plugged in and forget to change batteries and seems very inconsistent. So you don't have to put active pickups in. I mean, you could get anything. Let me take a look at that guitar. Actives are, that the battery thing can be a pain in the butt. So Art 500, Art 300. It's an interesting choice that they use active pickups for these. It looks like a Les Paul kind of. I see. Well, yeah, I mean, just put a set of Thornbuckers in there, man. Get a Thornbucker Plus for the bridge and a Thornbucker for the neck. That's what I would do if you want. It looks like kind of like Les Paul style situation. Singers. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But, how did CRS? Pete, did CRS add some Joan Jett tunes? That'd be cool. We'll get some Pat Benatar in there, so that's cool. Oh, you guys say you can't hear it. Okay, must be compression on the just so that it's just picking up me, a little noise reduction or whatever, or not compression, but noise reduction of some sort. Would a brown box work? Brown box is a similar, it just drops, it's like a kind of like a variac that drops to 110, just knocks 10 volts off, something like that. What else we got here? Humbucker size P90. Might be working on something like that. But there's Seymour Duncan makes one, and I believe Gibson has one as well, if you need something currently. Maybe does not Lawler. Lawler might have one, I'm not sure. But does Freyland have one? They might. Not sure, 100%. Okay, what else are we talking about here? How was the show in Scranton? Scranton was good. That was the first night. Really enjoyed it. Good first night, I thought. Last night I liked even more, to be honest. But it was just, I don't know, just like working just dealing with, figuring out the right set for America and stuff, and the right pacing and stuff. So last night was a good flow, and tweaking it a little bit tonight too. American audience is very different than British audience, so it's interesting. So, have you ever worked on a Megadeth solo? I have not, actually. They've had some great guitar players, but I've never learned one. Yeah. Sweet to tell fans they can request a special song. Well, yeah, I'd be totally down with, entertaining. If somebody's like, play that Van Halen song, I'll bring it up. For sure. Totally into that. Okay. Which Friedman amp would have a high gain like Fair Warning? Well, just one of the BEs, really. Fair Warning, really, the sound is the same amp, but I think he had gone, my opinion is he was using the hotter pickups by then. So, it could have been a JB or something. Dave and I have talked about that. Like, what was he using by 81 or 82? And then he sort of drifted to, eventually the, talk of the custom and all that kind of stuff. Or JB. I mean, the pickup that came out of the as I recently mentioned in the Van Halen guitar video, the pickup that came out of the 5150 guitar was a JB. And Sir confirmed that to me the other day too, because he saw that guitar and he said, "Yeah, I saw it, and it had the screwed up coil on it." So at some point, we know it worked, but it had a messed up coil on it it was behaving strangely. So, but anyway, so he did use JBs, and and then the Wolfgang is kind of that pickup's kind of a custom spec almost, I think, right? Because it's A2, and so it's interesting. Have you ever used the Source Audio LA Lady Overdrive? I have not. I haven't used that. I've tried some various, pedals from them, but not that one. Rob says I can hear it. It's pretty loud. Yeah, he's very loud. That's Rudy. Okay. Do I sell my old beloved Gibson DG335 to fund? If you would regret it, then I'm saying no. No, I did that. I mean, I sold my 54 Les Paul Gold Top for 2 guitars that I really kind of needed. I mean, I got a PRS out of it, a McCarty, and I got a Taylor acoustic that I needed at the time. I think that's what I got for those guitars. Or that might have been a different dumb guitar trade that I did, where I had a 59 Gibson J50. Beautiful acoustic. And I sold that and got a Taylor and a Larrivee. That's right. And the Larrivee is great, kind of a D28 style. And the Taylor I used because it had a good pickup in it. And I needed it for gigs and stuff like that. I didn't have a proper acoustic with a pickup at the time. I still regret the trade. I never should have done it. I should have figured out a different way to get a hold of a couple of guitars, So if you're going to regret it, then don't ever do it, because the DG335s, especially if it's the first run, are actually worth a lot of money right now. So I would just keep it, man. Hold on to it. I tend to not want to ever sell vintage guitars. Like if I buy them, unless there's some, just tonally wrong with it, very bad or whatever, it's like, or something that bothers me, I'm going to keep them because it's like, I know I'll regret it. That's just my history. I've sold a couple, the Les Paul and the 59 J50, to name a couple, and I really regret selling those guitars. So, hey Pete, you play lead with Classic Rock Show. If you could play lead guitar for any of the bands you cover in the Classic Rock Show, which would it be? Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it seems so, because it's like some of my favorite guitar players, so I wouldn't really want to. I like them being in the bands. Or the scary part is, of course, there's a lot of these bands that we play now that just aren't really active anymore, even. So, yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. It's like, Deep Purple, or, to me, it's like Blackmore is, I love Steve Morse, but he was in Deep Purple for twice as long, at least, as Blackmore. But to me, just Blackmore is that, thing. So those sounds when they made all those records, and so it's hard for me to think about it that way, to be honest. I don't mind like doing what we do, which is just sort of, we're basically celebrating, with this band, just all these bands we grew up with. And it's a bit, I say, I'm just playing great rock songs with my friends is what we're doing out here. So that's what it is, really. And I'm fine with just doing that, I guess, yeah, so. Sounds like the venue is haunted by a banshee. I'm going to take a picture of that and show it to everybody later because that sums it up pretty well. Here we go. Okay. I think Lindy Fralin has a humbucker size P9. I think you're right. I think I remember seeing a Fralin one. So, yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, Fat Cat. See, we're looking at Fat Cat as a humbucker size P90, right? That's right. Yeah. James Hetfield's vocal warm-up is quite interesting. What does he do? I'd love to know. You've heard Rebecca from Larkin Poe. Does he go or like that? Or does he go, yeah, tonight? Okay. What else we got? There's Jen. What's up, Jen? I saw Jen in LA a week ago, a little more than a week ago. She's in the US right now, doing a tour, and we had a little dinner. It was nice. I had a steak. I did. What would suit Texas Specials more, Thornbucker or Friedman Classic Plus? I don't know really what the Classic Plus is. Thornbucker Plus would go great with Texas Specials, I would think, or maybe even a Thornbucker 2. Yeah. Texas Specials are kind of like their saucy, mid-range single coil. Yeah. Nick says, love your Sunday talks. Thanks. Great to be here. Any fun memories from your time touring in France with Tony McAlpine? Oh, so many memories, actually. Tony's a hoot. He's a funny guy. And my first memory of hearing Tony play piano. So we had Michel. We did the Michel Polnareff tour, who's a kind of legendary French artist, and Michel is a piano player, pianist. He sit there and play beautifully, but we also had 2 more keyboard players in that band, 2 guitars, 2 keyboards, plus Michel, bass, drums, 3 background singers. My memory of hearing Tony play piano for the first time and just being like, oh my God, was we were at a venue, had just done sound check, and I heard this incredible piano all of a sudden, just burning like classical piano. And I looked over it, but we had a couple of very capable keyboard players, keyboard players, excuse me, and the MD was one, and I looked over, and there's nobody by his keyboards, and I looked over at Phil's side, the other keyboard player, there's nobody sitting there, and I could still hear this. And I looked at the middle of the stage, and Michelle's piano wasn't there because it would roll out in and out. And then I look over kind of stage left, and there's Tony sitting at Michelle's piano, had been rolled off to the side of the stage. He's just playing piano. Like, I was like, oh my God, like he's just absolutely shredding. And I guess he was like a prodigy at like age 5, he was just like playing Rachmaninoff or something like that. So it was really amazing. Other memories are like a jam that we had. Michelle had to cancel a couple gigs right at the end of the tour. We ended up kind of in West France, close to the sea, in this town. I don't remember what it was, but so we all ended up in the hotel lobby. There was a bar down there, and there was a piano in the bar, and we ended up in that lobby, just kind of having a little kind of like off the cuff party at the end because we couldn't go do the gigs. So Michelle wasn't able to do the show, and our MD and Tony were both sitting at the piano and playing at the same time on the same piano, and kind of like one would solo and the other one would lay back, and then they'd go back and forth, and it was like some of the most unbelievable piano playing I'd ever seen. They were just like, I was just like, Jesus, like these guys are. And Tony was playing jazz, and because it was kind of, they were playing like jazz progression of some sort, and I hadn't heard Tony do that. I'm like, oh, shut up, Rudy. Everybody says it sounds like I'm on the internet, and you sound like a haunted, or no, what was it? I screwed it up. Like the venue sounds like there's a haunted banshee. That's what I was trying to say. That didn't really come across. Anyway, it was really amazing hearing him play jazz and improvise. And other things, like I remember Michelle wanted us to do a guitar solo, and I was like, oh my God, I got to do a guitar solo with like a solo spot with Tony McAlpine. What am I going to do? So we came up with this whole back and forth thing, and it actually ended up being really fun. I look forward to it every night. It was like a great time. He played his sweep crazy arpeggios and stuff like that, a million miles an hour, and I did more like sounds and fast delay, like kind of like the Nuno delay trick, almost like the Eddie Van Halen or Brian May. I came up with a delay, so it was like it sounded like I was doing a lot more than I was. And we just had a really fun back and forth. And then we would end up on, because Michelle was like, I don't know, at the end, you got to do something like exciting, like end on Smoke on the Water. I was like, Smoke on the Water? Really? And then we did. So the first time we ever did it, we did it in front of like 60,000 people at this festival. And we went into Smoke on the Water. And I remember so Tony would do his crazy last lick or whatever of the solo. And then I would go like throw my hands up kind of in the air, like, in mock sort of like, how am I supposed to top that? And I would go into Smoke on the Water and play the lick, and then we would play the solo. I remember we would do the vocal melody of the chorus, Smoke on the Water, in harmony, and we would team up on that and play back to back kind of and do it, and the crowd went insane. So I was playing Smoke on the Water. I was like in front of like 60,000 French people all of a sudden. And we barely rehearsed it, and everybody went bonkers. It was like, and I was like, "Oh, that was a really good idea, actually." It was really cool, and it ended up being really fun. So we got to do that probably 20 times or something like that. It was really cool. Yeah. So it was super fun. All right. I think there's another super chat there I got to grab. So I'll move down to catch that one. Nick, thanks for saying you like the Sunday Talks, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Any fun? Oh, that was the question you just asked, and I just answered it. So there you go. There you go. The Genesee Theater is haunted. That's right. That's where we are today. Genesee Theater in lovely Waukegan. Do you have a guitar tech at shows? Yes, I do. Yeah. Bernie, he's works for 3 Doors Down and some other folks and stuff. He's a very good guy, and so he's taken over on this tour for the U.S. run, and new to me, but he's working out great. He's fun. Yeah, doing a terrific job. I had a DiMarzio put in my Les Paul in about 86. Can you tell me about your opinion of that year of pickup? Oh, geez, I don't know. I mean, they think they're probably relatively consistent. By then, they were potting them, I'm sure. I have an earlier super distortion that was unpotted, and so it was quite squealy, but sounded really good, but quite squealy. I don't really know. I'm sure it's cool. Let's see. What song is Rudy screaming? He's just screaming warm-ups. But generally speaking, Rudy does he'll warm up with some Journey song. Which one? Only the Young. Remember that song? Kind of like later period Journey, later period Steve Perry Journey. I guess he just likes all the kind of the vowel sounds and stuff, and he warms up on that a lot before shows. Well, that's cool. Ryan says he recently got a White Falcon. Those are awesome. Any cool stories or experiences with that kind of guitar? Not well. Okay, my one experience on a Gretsch live, because I've only played one once live, was it didn't have the bridge pinned, and I didn't know anything about that at that time. And so, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, the bridge, was just kind of like it floats on the top of the guitar, and I laid into the guitar kind of hard, and the bridge, like all of a sudden I was so out of tune, it was absolutely unbelievable, and I didn't know what had happened, and I realized I'd shifted the bridge on the face of the guitar by kind of nailing it. I was like, oh shit. So that taught me that I looked into pinned bridges after that, but it was just at a club in LA somewhere. Yeah. Let's see. What else? I have an AC15, says Joe. What is the sweet spot for master volume, preamp input gain, and overdrive pedals volume? The sweet spot for any AC style amp on a master volume is on 10. They're not really master volume amps, in my opinion. Maybe the new master that is like kind of what is going on in the SL68 or something might sound okay in an AC. But a big part of that, I'm going to steal from Ingve here, a big part of an AC is that the distortion generated or any kind of compression distortion throughout the amplifier is linear. I liked his describing of a plexi that way. The various stages all contribute, so, and it was certainly on an AC30 or AC15, it's like that. And I just hear a loss in tone whenever I use a master on an amp like that. It seems to just get kind of wimpy or lose mojo. I would rather run the front end a little lower and then hit it with a pedal of some sort for a little bit of added drive than use a master. So just kind of my opinion. But a sweet spot, I mean, it's a 15, so they're not super loud. And they're kind of penetrating sounding. That's just part of a AC style amp, the mid-range and the upper mids and stuff. They're like that laser focus kind of sound. It's what makes them great. But I tend to not crank that. I mean, unless you're doing the Brian May thing, normal channel on 10, style AC thing, and then hitting it with a treble booster and rolling the volume down on the guitar. If you're using the top boost channel, or if it's an AC15 with a master, maybe it's one of those newer hand-wired ones that has the kind of just the cleaner channel that's really like a gain stage into a power section with a bright switch. I love that channel on those, and I run it on 3 or 4 for a nice clean sound. And then you could hit it with pedals. Or the top boost channel, it's really interesting. I saw this tone stack calculator program on the internet recently that shows you what the EQ does on different amps. And the one on the Vox was so interesting because, like, when you turn up the treble, for example, it starts cutting like through, like it does these massive dips. So actually the flattest EQ on a Vox is the bass and treble off. If you run them all the way down, and then if you start turning them up, you'll start to see this, like the bass come up but the mids dip way down and do this whole thing, so and then the treble does the same thing. So I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you got an AC and you turn the treble way up, it's like the gain goes lower, and it's actually dropping a bunch of signal in the mids and stuff too, but you're getting a bunch of super highs. So that's just interesting. Maybe the tone controls on 3 or 4, on the top boost channel, and running the volume on, anywhere from 2.5 or 3 on up to 6, maybe, and then, using pedals or boosts or something like that for more drive after that. But I tend to, if you want it to clean up and get a little sparklier, turn up the treble, and it'll actually mids will drop out and stuff. But if you go too far with the treble, I feel like you lose tone. You lose mids, which is kind of where the guitars live. So it's interesting, really wacky what the EQ does. Okay. What else we got here? Let's see. Would you ever considering playing a JD33? It's a custom built beauty. I don't know this guitar. Don't know that guitar. I mean, to be honest, I'd love to have a Gretsch at some point. That's just like a, maybe like the Brian Setzer model or something. I would love, because it's kind of got the hotter TV Jones and it's got the pin bridge and all the stuff, that you need it to rock. So, yeah. Okay. What else? The Banshee is back. Oh, man. Okay. Looking through the chat here. Would you ever consider doing a PT amp in a box? Yes. Yeah. I mean, we kind of worked on one, to be honest, but it sort of got shelved, and it was coming along great. So maybe someday. But now I feel like, there's great ones out there with the Friedman, the IRX and stuff. So it's like, I feel like you can, sort of miss the boat by not getting those ideas out there. And the Friedman one is really, to be honest, it's a well-realized, terrific product. It sounds really good, does a great job. So, and I think there's probably a whole range of products there that you could explore, just different kinds of channels and, develop, because it's a really good format. I like the simplicity of it. Yeah. Let's see. Have you listened to any of the Andy Summers, Robert Fripp records? I haven't, actually. Jazz Chorus Fever. I should listen to those. I haven't. Okay. What else we got here? Let's see. What Boss distortion pedals do you like from Marshalls? The OD3 was really nice. Are we talking about like more like an OD1 style thing? The SD1W, I think it's called, or is it OD1W? SD1W, or the Waza one. It's a super overdrive with the Waza. Man, that thing kicks ass. Like really, really good. All those Waza pedals are really nice. Like the with the custom voicing, tend to like the custom voicing on them, and they sound really good. Yeah. Braxall's talking about using non-alkaline 9 volts with fuzzes, and supposedly that can make a difference in the tone. I've heard that as well. Best pedal battery box to get for a pedal board. A pedal battery box, for those that don't know, is like you build a little box that's got outputs for your pedals for power, and then you just put batteries in that box to power the pedals. So you don't have to put an individual 9 volt, and then you can switch the batteries out easier because they make it very easy to flip the lid and just put the 9 volts in. So if you like running your fuzzes off batteries, which some fuzz aficionados do, then it's a cool thing. Look up whatever Josh Smith does, because he's got one of those on his board, and he would know what the best one was. Let's see if you can find a rig rundown or something. There's a super chat there I got to grab, and we'll do that in just a second. Greg says, do you shy away from guitar demos? Well, just because I have my signature Suhr guitars, amps I kind of opened up, but guitars is something that I didn't really open up. I'll do a guitar demo if it's very, very different than my signature guitar. And if it's for, especially if it's for a company that, like, friends that I really like if it's a 335 style or something, which I did for Urine, or an acoustic, but if it's any kind of telly strat thing with humbuckers and tremolo or something, I tend to not do that, just because it's too close to my guitars that, I try and, have some sort of degree of integrity when it comes to not, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm there to, like, they've been very good to me, sir, with like, a guy like me having a signature guitar line. And I just feel like I want to support that. And I want to come out with more different varieties of, variations. The guitars have done well. They're popular and stuff. And so it's like, that's what I want to focus on, So, and they're really good about me playing sometimes other guitars if it's for a specific reason. We don't even talk about it ever. But I'll play my DG335 or my old guitar, my old Fender Strat, or my vintage stuff, or and they're just really cool about that. It doesn't bother them, I don't think. Or even the Van Halen guitar, because it's such a specific, the EVH, the Frankenstein. It's like you kind of gotta, use that for that sometimes, that thing, So they're very cool about all that. But anyways, Stealth Parrot says, I thought the Sir SL68 demo sounded amazing, so much more versatile than just a plexi. Yeah, just a few switches, the bright and having a usable master, having a switchable bright, those are huge. The Variac thing I didn't even show because it was running in the Variac mode all the time, the 90. But having that is a big deal. So just a few things you can do to those amps that really add a lot of versatility. It's pretty cool, So, did you hear that all the guys in Spinal Tap have signed on to do a sequel? Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's probably made already. They were working on it like a long time ago. So it's probably already done. Let's see. Can you tell us how a guitar tech really works? Like, other than tuning, how does he know what you like? Well, there's changing strings. I mean, there's a lot of guitars to change strings on and kind of keep them up to snuff and keep them from, just cleaned up and in tune. And necks can change from day to day and stuff. And if you get to know a tech, over time, this kind of tends to take a little while, but they might know, what amount of relief you like in your necks, that kind of thing. Just checking the strap buttons and making sure they're screwed in, fixing things every day and stuff. But there's a lot more to it than just keeping your guitars. I mean, it's setting up the whole amp rig, making sure there's no problems with ground or different things every day, and just getting everything set just right, making sure all your pedals on your board, that all the knobs are in the right position and stuff. So when you show up at sound check, there's not like something with the level cranked on 10 when it's not supposed to be, or whatever, like all that kind of stuff. Just changing batteries and packs and like everything every day, and all that stuff just eats up time. And of course, they handle load in and load out and taking everything in and out of. So it's a fairly extensive job. Yeah, even on sort of a basic level, there's a lot to do. So my tech handles me, and also Jesse, one of the main singers in our show, he plays guitar as well. So he's got a Gibson Chris Cornell model actually that he plays for an electric, and he's got a Taylor 6 and a Taylor 12 string. So my tech handles those three guitars as well. And he's got an Axe FX for his amp rig. So he's dealing with that, as well as my whole rig and my 6 guitars or whatever I have, or 7 guitars. Yeah. Is the EVH pickup shootout you did a while back, which one did you prefer? I liked a lot of them. In that, I mean, I really liked what I heard from Pariah. I liked what I heard from Rewind. I liked what I heard from Duncan. I mean, they're all good in just kind of different shades. In particular, I would say like those Pasadena white and black pickups were quite exceptional. I thought, like, the really, really nice for that particular variety of sound, But I love the, like I say, the Rewind. I like the old Mighty Mite. I like the Super Distortion. I liked the Mighty Mite was really cool, the vintage one. So, there was a lot there to take away. And, just sort of preferences. I mean, even at the end of the day, the good old 59 was like a solid pickup, So just different shades of good, really, I guess, is what it was, The one pickup I didn't really get at all was the vintage Super 70. It didn't sound right to me, but I guess they're not all created equal. So, yeah. Rob Craig there with a super chat. I have a 70s Bill Lawrence I want to resurrect, but I can't sort out the wiring. Can't find a reference. There's got to be a wiring. Can somebody help him out, Rob? There's got to be a wiring reference for a Bill Lawrence pickup online somewhere. I don't know, but must be. Like, wouldn't they just keep the same sort of wiring scheme now and color scheme and stuff? I don't know. I've never owned a Bill Lawrence pickup. I've just played them in the Nuno guitars and stuff occasionally, and the L500. Favorite plexi tones that weren't EVH. I mean, AC/DC, Humble Pie, absolutely. Peter Frampton told me that he used to plug into the normal input and then jump over to the treble side. I don't know if that makes any difference, and he says we'd all just try to, find the best sounding plexi or free. I mean, great sounds for sure. I would say, I'm just thinking, God, man, everybody sounded good. I saw a video of Kiss playing the other day, and they had like full Marshall stacks, and I can't remember what song they were doing. Might have been Strutter or something, but God, it sounded good, man. Like whatever it was on, I think it was a Midnight Special, that show. I think it was that show. And they had full Marshall, 4-hole Marshalls up there, 6 cabinets and all that stuff. Man, it sounded good. Like just proper, Ace was probably playing the Super Distortion and the Les Paul, I think. It sounded great. It was just best recorded sounds. Any AC/DC actually, all the AC/DC isn't created equal. I'll take that back. High Voltage has some great sounds on it, but there's a couple albums where it was like kind of like I went back and listened. It's like, oh, it sounds like a little like I don't like the mic placement or something as much on this record. Maybe it was Power Age or something I listened to, and I was like, oh, I preferred one over the other. But certainly, like the Highway to Hell album, by then, whatever was going on with whatever Marshalls they were using then was incredible. So much good Marshall tones out there. Okay. Andy says the Cage is all the rage on YouTube, I feel like I'm out of it today. Being someone who's more rock metal oriented, was Cage part of your learning experience? No, it's a relatively new kind of like, but it is really kind of just based around like knowing the notes of the chords, individual notes of the chords, being able to visualize on the neck when you're in any position. I feel like, right? Like, or maybe I don't understand Caged, but I feel like it's like, well, okay, we just used to call us a different thing, but it's like, whatever position you're in on the neck, there's a way to play the chords of, most songs without moving out of that position, right? That kind of thing, and a way to visualize the notes of the chord. So if you're improvising, you can see the, what I mean? Like the notes on the neck as the chords are flying by in whatever position. You shouldn't have to shift down here or go up here. It just seems like, well, it's just another way to do that, or another, like, that's what I thought when I read about Cage, and I sort of tried to understand what's this thing people are talking about. It's like, oh, well, just basically talking about playing in position. Or am I wrong? Am I missing something? You guys can teach me. Tell me. Have you ever used the Boss Harmonist for an EVH style detune for unlawful carnal knowledge tone? No, but it'll do that. The Harmonist pedal is great. It does whammy, it does diatonic, right? It does, it'll do detune. It's like pretty versatile. Pretty cool pedal, really. What's your take on Sir V70s versus the others? They're just kind of lower output and less mids, I would say. It's not my favorite, but if you're looking for that sound, like a sub, I don't know exactly what they are, but I think they're sub 6K. They're probably like 5.5 or something. Could be wrong about that, but I think so. They're just, bright and spanky. I like a little more kind of gooey mids, so I like the V63s a lot. Would CRS cover a Primus song or Black Flag? No, it's really, it's a little like more the golden era of classic rock based, right? Like we're probably not going to venture outside of your. Right now, it's kind of 1990 is the newest song we play, and it's everything before that is sort of fair game. But we don't do any. Like it's really, we get a little into the prog. I mean, but we're probably not going to do King Crimson. It's like, yes, okay, we'll do the, or I've suggested we should do some Genesis like at some point. But that is almost yeah, it veers into classic rock in the United States. Maybe in England they would consider it more like prog rock though, and some people might go, why are you playing? But it's interesting. The English audience can be a little more, like, I don't want to say snooty, but because that sounds like a bad word, but a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just they're a little more. Like I didn't really understand that before going there, and now it makes sense that the Who is almost considered not like, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, yes, classic rock. The Who was a mod band. And so there's some people back in the day that like, if you were a mod and you were on your way to school, you'd get beat up by the rockers. and the rockers were into like, classic rock, whatever we could say. And it wasn't the Who, So, but whereas in America, we're like, oh yeah, the Who's classic rock, of course, probably pretty much anywhere else in the world, But there was that distinct thing that's very almost like, I don't want to say classist, but it was like, gangs or something. I don't know, like, and Wayne, kind of our bass player, he explained that to me. So it can be a little, you might play a Who song in England actually, and there's a certain contingent of people that might be there that goes like, and you're like, really? Like, even though it's such, I mean, that was my jam, growing up, but yeah. I don't know. The Thin Lizzy song, I'm a rocker. He was like, kind of throwing down the gauntlet there, I think, this is what I am, So it's a little different. It's interesting. Best bridge in rock history, Outshine. Cool build-up riffs. It actually is a really great bridge, Outshine. I used to love playing that with Mr. Cornell. It was a great feeling laying into the bridge. Yeah, and him, get chill thinking about it, Yeah, good feeling playing that. Speaking of which, I'd love to play some Soundgarden in this show, I'd love to even just simply put in Black Hole Sun, but that would be by far the newest song in our set, So anyways, we'll see. Maybe one of these days. Maybe it's a different show, I was talking about that with somebody last night, like the 90s, doing a show of 90s stuff would be probably a good idea for somebody. And I'm sure it already exists. But I don't think I've seen anybody do it like quite at the level that we're probably, with the production and stuff like that. And, like touring theaters or whatever, doing that. So maybe it's too soon. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah. How much do you use compression and what do you like to use and when? I use it all the time on my clean sounds, really. If I'm turning the amp up into distortion, maybe not, but if I've got the amp set clean, I love a compressor. It just, pushes the sound forward and makes the parts easier to play and sound more prominent in the mix and places them in a place that I like. So I use a Sir Woodshed right now, the Andy Wood compressor. So there's another one coming out soon though that I love that I might try and use actually, but can't tell you about it yet. I almost spilled the beans right now. But it'll be out in about 3 or 4 weeks. And I just don't know if it'll fit on my board, but it might give it a try. Okay. You should interview legendary guitar tech Andy Brower. I haven't seen or heard of Andy in years. I've talked to Andy over the years. I mean, I remember him coming to MI to do a clinic once. And just talking about what he did. And I visited, his shop and everything. He used to be right in Weddington, not far from where I'm located now. And Dave Friedman got to start working for Andy. Dave used to do cartage for Andy Brower, so he was loading up trucks full of Steve Lukather's gear and taking it to sessions in the late 80s, into the 90s, early 90s for Andy Brower. So yeah, it'd be interesting. When you say guitar tech, I don't know if he was really ever maybe he started as a tech. He might have. I'm not sure about that. I just know him as Andy Brower Studio Rentals, that he started this, business that had great guitars and amps that and also would store gear and do cartage in the era where that started to become a thing, yeah. So, somebody's asked me if I know Dimitri from Off and Chris Cornell. I don't think so. Oh, wait. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. The dude he's from Philadelphia or something, right? Is that who you're talking about? He's a great guitar player. And he played on the Carry On album right before I joined. I was probably playing his parts, I guess, from Carry On songs on tour. His band was great. He was a really good guitar player. Remember he had a band with maybe his girlfriend or something was the bass player. Is that right? Is that the band you're talking about? Anyways, that's who I think you're talking about, Dimitri. I haven't thought about him for a while, but I think that's who you're talking about. He was terrific, really cool, like very sort of punk rock, attitude. I liked his trip. It was cool. Just tried the 4-cable method with my Marshall DSL 40C and NUX MG30, and it sounds good. The clean channel is much louder. Well, you might be pushing into the, going from the NUX into the front of the amp might be, you might be boosting 10 dB or something because of just a level thing. So if you like it, it's all good. But maybe it's, because if the clean channel's louder, the dirty channel's probably getting boosted too, and maybe it'll be too much, but maybe you like it. If it sounds good, it's good, I always try and get unity gain so that if I plug the thing in, so I plug it in the amp, guitar right in, here's the sound. I now plug in 4-cable, bypass all the effects and everything. I want to get as close to the same sound as possible so that now when I start adding things in the effects and all that, now I'm, I'm starting at, so it's apples to apples, not like boosting the shit out of the front end of the amp, just coming out of the thing. But that you might like that sound. So if it sounds good, don't worry about it. Yeah. 1983 JCM 800 112. Should I sell? Those are cool. I've always kind of wanted one, actually. How much you want for it? Kind of neat amps. They're definitely still worth money, and there's a place for them. Kind of neat. If don't sell it if you've got any kind of sentimental thing. Once again, just like guitars, if you've got a sentimental connection, you feel like I love the tone, but I don't know, I just want something else. You might regret it, like selling something you like. I just don't believe in selling things you like unless you're in absolute dire straits. You absolutely have to, then I get it. But if you're like, oh, I just want to get this other thing maybe, but I don't know if I'll like it as much, but I just kind of, have a little bit of buyer's frenzy. I want to get it, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I've always regretted selling things that I liked. So Billy Joe Armstrong's guitar tone with his 2 modded plexis sounds amazing. Yeah, he's got the sort of Sir Martin, custom audio modded. It's like the Crunch mod sort of, I think. Yeah. Yep. It is a cool sound. It's kind of a one-trick pony, but it's a good trick, I think. Yeah, introduced to, I'm pretty far back in the chat. Cage, I was introduced to Cage from a Berkeley jazz dork in the late 90s. He did not call it that. Yeah, I think I understand what it is, but I didn't call it that either. Have you ever used an Octafuzz? Yeah, I had an Octron from Fox Rocks on my board, and I used to play Chris Cornell songs with it. We'd play like Gasoline and different Audio Slave songs, and I'd use the Octron. It sounded amazing, for single notes, just this huge fat analog octave thing. Wasn't really exactly what those guys were doing, but I guess I was hearing the, Audio Slave. I was hearing the Tim and Tom Morello, bass and guitar melding, and I went like, well, I can kind of do that sound if I have like an octave or, because it just sounded like one thing happening at once the way those guys played. So I would use the Octron sometimes. It just sounded really cool. Yeah. The mirror behind looks like you're talking to yourself. Yes, it does. Look at the endless. You can see it going forever. Isn't that amazing about mirrors? Oh, so silly. What else we got here? Let's see. Is the Vega trim similar to the Wilkinson? It's different. It's a totally different style of system. You might like it, you might not. I don't know. I've never tried it. So I've tried it a little bit at NAMM, but not on one of my own guitars. I have one, and I've been meaning to install it and give it a try, but it's been a minute. Greg says, I think Sir is lucky to be working with you, Pete. It's how I know about them. Well, I'm glad I was able to introduce you to them. But I feel like, John for me was, and the company, it was already legendary when I got my first one. I mean, I remember seeing articles about him in guitar magazines and hearing people like Frampton and Lou Reed and all these people talking about him in the, that he was this amazing guitar guy builder and technician that worked at Rudy's in New York City. I remember hearing about him in the 80s. Believe me, I feel lucky to work with them and to have found them. They've been such good partners. I feel really fortunate. So Fred says, I have a pair of 1960 Zebra PAFs. That's cool. It's awesome. Yep. Do you have a fixed set list or do you mix songs in? It's a little bit of both. We've got a set that we started with, and then we're mixing it up to try and refine it and make it better, like the flow. We've moved a few things around. Yeah. Oh, look, here's a fella that's coming tonight. Ed S. Maybe see you later. Looking forward to the show. Should be fun tonight. I'm looking forward to it too. We've been having a great time. So rock out. Let's see. Mike keeps saying that it looks like I'm talking to myself. I am kind of talking to myself. I mean, I'm talking to all you guys, but there's no one else answering here other than this chat on the side. So it sort of feels like I'm talking to myself sometimes. It's a trippy thing doing this sometimes, like talking to the computer. I guess I'm good at it because I've done it over 300 times now, but it's like, so I've gotten used to it. But occasionally I do it strikes me that I'm just sitting here talking and there's no one here. I mean, you're there, but it's a weird feeling all of a sudden, so to tap into every now and then. This is an interesting take. I think from Who's Next, the Who are considered to have changed from mod to arena classic rock. Yeah, I can see that there was a shift. Michael says the Gibson Cornell model is my favorite guitar. It's really cool, man. I've got a fond memory of Chris of the first time I saw that guitar, and he was so proud of it. And I was in his little studio room in his house, which was really just a spare bedroom, and we were sitting there, and he's like, check these out. And he pulled them out of the case and showing me his new guitars, and he had I believe a green one and a black one there that day, and he was just kind of handing them to me. I was like, these are awesome. I never got one. I should have tried to get one, at some point, because they are neat with the Filtertrons and stuff. Yeah. Do you still help out or speak to Toni Cornell? Yeah, I mean, I don't talk to her that much anymore, but recently, I mean, it was like during just pandemic or just post-pandemic, we did 2 TV shows together. We did the Fallon and what's the other one? Oh, Corden. I think we did James Corden and we did a Fallon. And so that's not that long ago. I'm not sure what she's up to. She's got a lot of interests and stuff, and she's a great singer. I'm not sure that she's wants to do singing as a career, and she should do whatever she wants. I know she's in college, and so I'm happy to help out however I can, always with that family. So I've got a strong bond with them. So yeah. But we don't talk all the time or anything like that. Occasionally. Would be great for you to play some Soundgarden songs live again. Yeah, I'd love to do one just out of, it only makes sense. Maybe I'll make the case for it next year. Like, go, hey, like, this is a guy that I actually played with, would be, I think everybody would be into it and understand it's an amazing song. There's not going to be anybody that comes to a show and hears Black Hole Sun and goes like, I don't like this. I don't think. If they do, then I'm not going to be their friend. Okay. How does a Sir Discovery delay compared to the Strymon and Boss offerings? It's just a little like in the true analog sense, like gooier, richer if you're going for an analog delay. I mean, you can get a kind of a simulated analog delay and it'll sound like a digital, that's got an analog voicing. The Strymons are wonderful. I mean, the Brigadier is amazing sounding. But the Sir has this, I don't know, it's just got this amazing modulation and it's very, very rich sounding. When you're like plug in, it's a real, like, it's like when you plug into a Phase 90. It's the simplest thing in the world. It's one knob. If you try every Phase 90 pedal out there that's digital, that kind of has a Phase 90 sound, it's like, yeah, sort of. And then you plug into just a Phase 90, it just does that gooey kind of random sweep that they do. And you're like, oh, well, it's so simple. I don't know. And I guess that for me, that's what the Discovery does. But it's got a couple things about it that are a little different than, say, like a Memory Man or something. Like a Memory Man to me is the problem with them, is, at least with the most modern ones I've tried, is they don't have a lot of headroom. Maybe the old ones were like that too. So they kind of distort. And sometimes if I'm trying to play something pretty through one without distortion, that's a little weird to me, like that, clipping sound. It always sounds like I can't get the dry signal of the guitar to unity where I want it without getting this little bit of crapping out going. So that always bothered me about them. At least the Memory Mans that I've tried. The Sir has a more pure, like, maybe that's not what people want. I'm eating a mandarin orange because it's delicious. Why wouldn't I? And here's the amazing thing that you have to try if you try a Sir Discovery is ramp up the feedback way up, the regen, like 3/4 the way up or even more. And you will hear that when it starts oscillating, it doesn't go crazy on itself and blow up the sound. It oscillates in a controlled way so that you can make a pad with it. And it's such a cool thing. And I know Kevin worked really hard on getting tuning that in so that there's some limiting going on or something like that. And it just tails out in such a controlled, amazing way. And you can do this cool stuff with it. Like, and just the ability to have presets also is pretty awesome, on an analog delay. So it's a superior analog delay to me. He really spent a long time on it. And I feel like he made kind of like, if not the coolest, at least one of the top 3 or 4 analog delays ever made, out of the ones I've tried. Like, I'd much rather have one than a Memory Man. That's just me. But, yeah. Does your signature guitar have a push-pull pot that has parallel? Yes, both of them do. Both varieties do. Level matching is also important. What's this? Oh, for unity. Yeah. Also important because when you A/B things, the louder one will trick you that the louder sounds better. Yeah. And I just kind of don't want a digital effect unit or something to boost my sound necessarily. I just want it to be like, unless I add an effect. Unity gain is the concept of like, you've got a thing, now you add another thing, and you get as close to the level as possible and tone without that thing engaging an effect. You know what I mean? Like, you just, it's bypassed. It should be sort of relatively transparent, and then when you turn it on and add some effect, now if you want to boost with it, you can by adding, say, like a compressor we're talking about the new XMG30 or whatever. You could add like a clean boost pedal or something like a screamer with the drive all the way down and boost a little and get it like a simulated, analog kind of boosting thing going, right? So that's what I think. There's like like I talk about this with wirelesses with the guys here. Like when I use a wireless, I want it to sound as close to a cable as possible. And then I'll get my boosting and stuff from other things. It just surprised me recently to realize how many people sort of like set the packs on their wireless to boost or to even out the volume of their guitars. Like, I don't want that. I want my guitar to be the volume that it is, as though I was using you don't have that with a cable. You plug in a Tele or you plug in a Les Paul, the Les Paul's louder, or a Strat, and a Les Paul, maybe a better example, you can, sure, I guess you can even out the volume of your guitars, but now you're kind of homogenizing your guitars with something that's digital and doing you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of weird to me. I don't want that. I want the same sound that I get out of a cable as close as possible. And then if I want to do boosts and stuff, use a microamp or some sort of clean boost, to do that. But I don't want this mystery stuff going on with my wireless or my effects units or anything. I don't want them changing level unless I add a sound or a preset that specifically changes level. So that's unity gain. I think it's very important, Yeah. It's something that is nice about, say, like a Shure GLXD wireless, is it is kind of unity as soon as you plug it in. But it's interesting to me that on something like an upper end Shure wireless, like the Axion, love it, amazing unit, adore it. It's not actually unity when you plug it in. At least not in my experience. I have the pack set at -10, and then I've got something else. I think it's just a pack at -10 on my pack, and then maybe I've got the receiver at 0. I think that's what's going on to get unity, the closest thing to a cable. And to check this stuff, you guys, what you got to do is just set a clean sound on your amp or whatever you're plugging into, your model or whatever. No compression, nothing. And then say, if you're trying to set the gain on a wireless, make sure the wireless sounds like a cable. Just plug into the clean, strum a couple chords and listen to it. And then plug in the wireless, pack and the output coming out of the receiver, strum a couple chords and listen to it. Make sure it's like the same volume. And if there's any distortion, it's harder to tell because it'll be compressing and stuff because of the overdrive. If it's clean, you can really tell if it's right there. So I spend quite a bit of time trying to make sure that that's the case. Okay, I'm going to split relatively soon so that I have a little bit of time before sound check. We're checking in about 45 minutes. So I'll hang for another 10 minutes or so, I think. And then I'm going to jet. Okay, what's the most open sounding bridge humbucker for a Shure Classic Pro? Open sounding? I mean, an SSV is a good solid pickup. A Thornbucker, to me, they've got a little more character. You probably hear it as having a little more PAFE, snarly, whereas the SSV will be a little smoother, And that's just the nature of how the coils are wound, I think, like the strength of each stuff. So if you want something that's a little more smooth, predictable, SSV, if you want something that's got a little more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, I'd say the Thornbucker or Thornbucker Plus. We add dates in the US tour, says Mike. Not adding anymore. Everything that's been announced is what we're doing now. I think there's 17 shows total, but next year there'll probably be some more. It's going really well. So I'm quite, like I said, last night we had 1,100. And that, for the first time that a band has been anywhere, is pretty cool. Good turnout. And it kind of knocked me out. I was like, there's a lot of people here. I've been prepared to see, and there will be some shows on this tour where it's far fewer than that. And that's okay, because anytime you're trying to build something from scratch, I mean, we're not Led Zeppelin or The Who or whatever. We do a really nice show and it's a high production value, but we are a band of friends playing these great songs. That's what it is, There's no rock stars in the band, old school style, So we're it's all pro musicians, good players, and everything like that, playing this great old classic music. So you kind of temper your expectations. Like, okay, what's it going to be like? How many people are going to come? And there was a lot of people. Like, it was like, this is a proper rock gig last night. That's what it felt like to me. And they were like really in it, to like on their feet a lot and totally down. So it was great. Really stoked about it. Do you believe that AVH use a JBL aluminum cone and the bright mic on those Sunset recordings? Yeah, I do actually. I think that it was on the first record, the JBL and the Celestion. That's the standard sort of what people assume these days. There's photographic evidence of him, obviously with cabs with those speakers and stuff. And just I've got like the sessions and stuff. I've seen I've got them. I can listen to them isolated. And it doesn't. The sounds are very different between the brighter microphone and the darker one. That's obviously kind of the darker greenback sound. So yeah, I think so. And you're saying 56 is like SM56, which is the little short 57. It's basically a 57, just got a different style body, same sound. Yeah. What do you do for power in the UK? I use a transformer. So to step down to from their 240 to 120. And so this big yellow transformer box that I have, it'll change the power, and then I'll come out of that usually into my Variac, and then I can come out of the Variac into my power conditioner, which runs my whole rig, my amps and everything's powered off that, and it's got a meter on the front, so I can change it, make sure it's about 118, 117, because you never know. Sometimes it might be like 125 or whatever. It's like a little hot for the amps, so I'll dial around. But that said, I need to get my Variac worked on, because it's I was having some issues with grounding on the last tour, and start getting a buzz all of a sudden, the rig, and I'd isolate it to wiggle the AC going into the Variac, and the buzz would go away. It's like, oh, the jacks, I just need to get get it tightened up, get my Variac worked on. So, or get a new one maybe. I've been using the same Variac since Chris Cornell days, so still have it. Does everyone get input into the CRS set list? I would say so. Yeah. Ultimately, James decides. But there's a whole lot of. He's totally down with everybody's opinions and listening to what people think about the order and the songs, and so. Okay. What else we got here? The surge delay sounds more like a Moog delay than a Memory Man kind of thing. That's interesting. Yeah, I've got one of the small Moogs, but it doesn't have mod on it. Do the big ones have mod? They probably do. Right. Excuse me. Just snagged the UA Lion, best drive pedal I've owned. Have you played one? Yeah. I did a little video for them, and I also did a video with Blue Saraceno that you can see on there. I believe it's on the Sweetwater page, actually. CBR says, CBR8 says, I'm 40 minutes north of you and I'm not going to the show. Hey man, nephew's birthday party. I understand. That's okay. You got to hang with family. I own 20 guitars, Valley Arts Custom Pro, etc. What makes her so great? It's John's attention to detail and quality and stuff. He's just very obsessed with making things that work well. So I'd say it's down to him. I know you're a tube amp guy, says previous username, but wanted to say my new Hiwatt Super Lead 150R head sounds more Marshall than my 80s 3210 Lead 100 MOSFET. I used to have one of those, by the way. That was my first good amp, a Lead 100 MOSFET. Hiwatt putting the 150 out for $374. It's interesting. Have to give it a try. What do you think is the most versatile 112 combo that can cover most genres? Versatile 112. I mean, a 112. It's like maybe something like, I don't know, like a Mark V or something. The most versatile. can't think of it. I mean, you know, there's obviously modeling amps like katanas and stuff like that, you know, you get a lot of different, like, radically different sounds out of. If we're just talking about total versatility, though, in a tube amp, in a 112. Anybody else got anybody? I'm a little stumped. I would have to say probably something of the Mesa variety is probably going to be able to get the most levels of gain and true sort of like searing overdrive all the way through to very clean. Yeah. What's the name of the company that makes those leather jackets you wear? I think you're talking about Boda Skins, Boda. Boda Skins. They're super cool company. Make motorcycle jackets and stuff. I love them. Alex says he's going to the Taco Bell drive-thru. Do you want me to pick you up anything? I'm good. I'm all set. Thanks. Do other members of CRS have live streams? They do CRS live streams sometimes. I think Jess does. I don't know if she does live stream or not, but she does some stuff occasionally. There's a female singer. Let's see here. Arcadio Hernandez says, finally got some time to log into the chat. Great to see you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hang another 5 or so, and then I'm going to split. Anyone from Spain? My question is Black Hole or Mercury 7? Both are great. I mean, it's hard to, you know, it's going to be, you're just talking about reverbs, like big, giant ambient reverbs. The Black Hole is, of course, the algorithm from Eventide. Mercury 7 is Maris. So both very nice. Love them both. I don't know. I could use either and get probably pretty good results, I think, for that endless tail kind of, you know, massive. The Maris was inspired by Blade Runner, you know, it's crazy soundtrack. Super moody. I've always seen the Sir Hedgehog, but I've never seen you use it. I like it. But yeah, it does feel different. It's, yeah, I mean, I've often thought that if I ever played with Don Henley again, that I would use it, that would be a great amp to take on a Henley gig, you know, with a few overdrives. Be perfect. It's a great amp. I don't know. I mean, you know, I just live in the Marshall camp a lot, but it is really good. Steven says, see you later tonight. Looking forward to the show. Me too, man. Gonna go get ready in a second here. How do you like to set your bass amp tone to play nice with your pedal board? It just clean, that I hit with a couple different drives for various sounds. And then the other side of my amp is basically Marshall-y crunch, like optimized Marshall, you know, 70s into 80s sound. And then the lead channel is a sizable boost, so I can get a big volume bump and yeah, that kind of thing. So let's see here. I think I'm pretty far back in the chat. I got a super chat there to grab. That's Sims Custom Guitars. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think I should split you guys and go get ready. I'll just head down to the bottom here. I used the trick you taught Michael Nielsen with PT100 Apollo plugin, went to Sir reactive load, bypassed the preamp section. Great workaround for basic reactive loads. Yeah, it is. So this is, he's talking about like, if you use the PT100 plugin, which you can get, by the way, now for native, it's not just for UA, you can disable the amp and just use the speaker sim. So it's got, like, you know, some cabinets in there, and that allows you, if you do use UA, you can use the Unison plugin slot and load it up, and it's a way that you can get IRs, a good speaker simulation, by using a Unison. So why would you do this? Well, it's like, say you got a reactive load or load box or something, you come out of your head into that. Now you've loaded your amp down to line level, you go into your recording interface, and if it is UA, you can load it up in the Unison slot, and then you've got, you know, just disable the preamp and power amp simulation, leaving only the cab sim active, and now going into Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, you can now have a cabinet recorded sound. And, you know, why would you want to do that? Well, you're kind of committing to a speaker sound to tape to your computer. Then you don't have to load up IR sims on every channel and all that. It's just an easy way, or you can just practice with your amp into Logic, use it or into a UA console or something. You don't even have to have a DAW open like Logic or Pro Tools. You can just use it in the UA console. So, or if you don't have UA, if you got Focusrite or something, you can just load it up in your DAW on a channel and add speaker sim that way. It's just a little trick that I tried and works really well. All right, everybody, I'm going to split. I'm going to go touch and go next week on Easter Sunday, whether or not I'll do one of these. I'm just not sure yet, like if it makes sense to do on a holiday weekend, but I'm sure some of you would be here, so maybe I will. I know I've got a day off. I just don't know where the heck am I? Let me see. Next week, day off. Kind of a travel day, also in Nashville. Questionable whether or not I do one. I'm going to be hanging in Nashville that day, and I might just kind of want to take the day off. I'm not sure, but I may do it. I'll put up a watch page before if I decide to, and we'll see. Next day after that, April 1st, we'll be in Albany, Georgia. Then we have a day off in Atlanta, and then we play the Cobb Energy Center in Atlanta. That sounds like a big place. That should be fun. We'll be kind of rocketing towards the end of this thing at that point. But looking forward to these gigs. We're going to have some fun. So hope to see, some of you folks that are coming tonight. It'd be good. And I'm going to go get ready, make some rock and roll. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. You're the best. Thanks for your super chats. And thanks for hanging and everybody being cool. Oh, did I miss this one? Nope. I got that one. That super chat. Just want to make sure I got them all. Hope I didn't miss any. You guys are the best. Take care out there. Be nice to one another. Rock on.